From Rule 62 Studios in Bossier City, Louisiana, this is the Grouch and the Brainstorm. New year, new you.
Whoa.
Dry January.
Yes.
Season 2. Back for more. Tell me when to stop.
Keep going.
All of it. We're trying to figure out what we're going to call this thing. So we are actually back. This is Season 2, Episode 1. And the reason for that is because... How come, Jill?
Oh.
Because we covered the 12 steps in Season 1. And if someone out there is wondering, they can just go back and listen to all of Season 1. They don't have to listen to any other seasons. It's kind of like Yellowstone.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Or Family Guy.
Sorry, I really just spaced out when you were like, take it away, Jill. And I'm
By the way, I am here with Jill and Matt.
What's up?
And Terry P.
Hey.
Come to sit in with us on this one, right?
Yes.
So we covered all the 12 steps, basically, with a few extra. It took us 33 episodes or 32 episodes to get through the 12 steps because we threw in a little extra stuff. And that's not counting bonuses. We have about 10 bonuses, I believe, in there, too. So probably 40-something episodes we've recorded, which is really just 1 week's worth of recording, 40 hours worth of recording.
You couldn't have just done 12 to make it easy for...
No, we couldn't do
Really?
it.
It seems like so much more than that.
You know, we got to roll hard.
Mike, let me ask you this, though. Starting Season 2, did you think we would be at this point?
No, I
This was
figured
your
by
baby.
now we would be you know, I didn't think we would ever have a Season 2.
Yeah. I mean, this was your baby, man. It's
And-
starting to just
Well,
grow
people
steady.
listen.
Yeah.
We have listeners out there, and people contact me during the week, and I get text messages, and I hear from people, and people actually enjoy listening to it. So
That's awesome.
why not do it?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if I just wish when I was new in recovery, if I could have just had something to listen to without having to be around all those people, and then people could relate to me, or I could relate to the people that were talking on this thing. I don't think podcasts were a thing back then. If they were new, brand new,
Right.
You know. And so I would have really enjoyed that, you know. Plus, it lets people understand that there are people out there who have the exact same thing going on you do, or did. They have the exact same thing that you have now, and so it kind of changes things. And maybe it'll bring a little bit of what we hear in the AA rooms to life for the listeners. Maybe it'll make some of it make sense. You ever see those slogans? I was thinking about that today, all right? Or I was actually thinking about that about 10 minutes ago.
What, like Easy Does It?
Well, easy does it, right? You know, I'm talking about easy does it?
Time
One day
takes
at a time.
Time takes time. That's Terry's favorite. Time takes time.
I hate time.
First things first.
Yes, all that cheesy stuff on the wall.
Listen.
Think.
Shouldn't it be don't? Oh, no. Is it think, or listen?
I think listen might be an NAB.
It should be talk.
It's think. Of course, keep coming back is always a good one. We got what stick with the winners,
It works if you work it.
but for the grace of God.
Keep coming back.
You're not first, you're last. I don't know if that's AA.
That's actually
Babe Ruth.
from that's Ricky Bobby.
Also very wise, that guy.
Apparently, because he was talking about baby Jesus earlier.
Yes.
Progress, not perfection.
There you go.
That's one of my favorites. Progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
Meeting makers make it.
Meeting makers make it. Nothing changes if nothing changes.
I love that one.
This too shall pass. All these things that are written on the wall whenever we walk in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's kind of hard to put them. I guess you have to keep coming back in order to understand some of these things. But I didn't understand a lot of them. You know, none of those phrases, none of those catchphrases made me want to keep coming back. That's for damn sure. But I will tell you this, that the more meetings I go to, the more I stay in rooms, the more contact I have with the group of AA on a regular basis, the more these things start making sense. You know, you sit around, every meeting, we sit around and we pray the serenity prayer, right? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And through the years, that has become several different meanings. That has... in the beginning it had all to do with alcohol, except and then later on it had to do with just life in general. And now even more, longer I stay sober, it's almost just the wisdom to know the difference. I just need to know the wisdom to know the difference. I understand I'm going to have to learn how to accept that. I'm going to have to learn how to have the courage to change that. But the wisdom to know the difference, I need that. That's probably where I'm at right now. So we could talk about a lot of things today, but I think what I really wanted to cover was life after the 12 steps. And when I say after the 12 steps, the family afterward, okay? And that is a chapter in the book, right? And I'm going to say this to clarify a little bit. Family, Jill and Matt and Terry are my family. So it doesn't necessarily mean mom, dad, cat, dog, Peter, Lois, Brian, none of that. Pigs, Bud and Chunk. It can mean a lot of different things, just like that serenity prayer changes over the years, just like those slogans on the wall change over the years.
Right.
The family afterward when it comes to working the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And did you see a change in your relationship with those people that you are closest with? Because why do this crap? Seriously, why do it? If and I don't call it crap on purpose, but why do any of it if there's no benefit? Because you can not.
We were
drink.
just talking about that. Absolutely. Why do this if we're going to live on an EBT card the rest of our life?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, why survive? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to survive
Just to make it.
I don't want to I was barely surviving using and drinking. So why do I want to just take a substance away and keep right on rocking the way that I was with my spiritually, mentally, the goal here is we do all this stuff to get better, and it has, but
It has. It's time. It is all that takes time.
Yeah.
Mine did not happen at all fast at all.
No, I mean, I think the rest of my life I'm going to be doing this and trying to progress. And then you get the new person comes in and they're the hot mess going on, and you're talking to them. You're like, "Ooh, I remember when I was there. I have moved on from that."
Yep.
And, but you're not looking down on them because you're going too. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's not going to be
You're on the right
forever.
path.
Let's roll on.
I remember someone coming in that was a hot mess, and I was a hot mess. And I was thinking, damn, I didn't think any worse than me. And they're sitting there. I've had wet drunks come into Alcoholics Anonymous while it's just me in the room. And I don't have a clue what to do.
Yeah.
Right. But I know that I got to do something, especially when they're, I'm thinking about getting out of here and they're driving, and they're wasted, and so, yeah, I've been
I'm glad we're honest about that. It's hard sometimes to want to say, okay, I'm going to go say hi to that person and give them a hug because it's uncomfortable, right?
Yes.
But think about when I was walking into that room and so scared. And if someone would have, the ones that gave me a hug and a handshake, those are the ones that I stayed for.
Yeah.
And I'll tie that in even further. The ones that hugged and handshake me, they all have a bunch of years of sobriety and they're still in there.
And we have this almost sense of, Terry was talking earlier about sales and salesmen and relating. And, a lot of times when a salesman approaches me, they give me that same thing Terry was talking about. And I don't want to let them down. I feel guilty if I don't buy whatever it is they're selling.
Yeah, I feel bad.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it was almost like that was like that with the men in the AA rooms that approached me in the beginning, except for they weren't selling anything. They didn't benefit at all, except for they got to stay sober one more day. But there was nothing that they were selling. They were just, hey, this is what
it really is attraction, not promotion.
And then they love you and they become like your family, especially that first sponsor. And that ain't necessarily for everybody. That's just my first sponsor became like, almost like a father figure to me.
Sure.
And I used to think he was so old, and he's not much older back then than I am right now. 7 years older than I am now when he passed away. So that's that. Yeah. I used to think he was an old man. So I'm approaching old man status as well, But my relationships with other human beings, the family after my family, my actual, my daughter, my son, I didn't have a good relationship with either one of them. Well, actually, I had a okay one with my daughter. I didn't have a good relationship with my son. Didn't have a good relationship with her mother. Right when I got sober, well, after 3 months, I haven't drank in 3 months. Everybody should be, let's forgive and forget and move on.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, right.
90-day chip the other day.
I mean, look at me. Hello.
Yeah. I remember my son had a friend, and I had went and picked my son and his friend up from somewhere and was taking them, I want to say, to the mall over in Bossier. And I had probably 4 to 6 months. And the friend's dad called my ex-wife and said, "Hey, I don't want my son out riding with him." Oh man, I was pretty pissed, and I tried not to be pissed back. I was in that time period where you're not supposed to be mad. You're supposed to practice tolerance and see their side.
Yeah, but 4 months.
I was 4 months deep, man. That's
who they think they messing with.
Yeah.
Got
3
Let me
months.
hook this chip out on you,
I
bro.
got the turquoise chip.
That's right.
But I was pretty pissed off about it, and but I remember that kind of messing with my psyche, my relationship with them, and my mom and dad. Actually, my relationship with them hasn't really changed much from recovery to non-recovery. It hadn't changed much. We're still the same as we were before, I got sober. But my family, the people I see the most and the people I care about the most, I've gotten to the point to where there's not trust issues. Is this guy going to make it? Is he going to be here? He said he would. Is he gonna call and, the kind of the disappointment we had people, we did. So, the family afterward for me is it is a takes time, tedious process that, I will say when I was sober for, I want to say 9 years, something got posted on one of the social media sites, and it wasn't about me directly, but something was posted, and my daughter was out at my mother's house, and my mother asked my daughter, "Is Mike back drinking again?" And I was 9 years sober. And that kind of got me. I actually went to a meeting that day and talked about it, right? I just kind of said, "Hey, look, this is what I got going on. This is what's on my mind," and my daughter told her no, that he's sober. And then I think a few months later, I picked up a 10-year chip, and I made sure I sent a picture, just like I do every year, of my chip to my mom and my dad in a text message, but that goes to show that even though I think I have this super duper recovery, that doesn't necessarily mean the people in my life have to adjust to my recovery program.
You're right. I mean, if we've been using for 20 plus years, that's 20 plus years. We have just been deceiving, lying, just manipulating, and it doesn't happen.
And it's caused sickness in those people as well, that they've developed their own stuff and own ways of dealing with it that may or may not be healthy.
Absolutely.
Right. It won't happen overnight.
We get that 90-day chip, we strutting around, like a wrestler with the championship
It'll make a
belt,
skeptic of anyone. Yeah, immediately, we get that pink cloud at some point in that first year or two.
Oh, pink cloud.
Just want to go on social media, look at me. And then, I started sending little quotes to my kids and my wife,
Live.
I'm the expert now.
Oh, I got it, man. That is a little, teach everyone in the house how to be spiritual. Yeah.
Learn to pray like me.
Try telling your wife acceptance is the answer whenever she's pissed off, and see how that goes for the family afterward.
Oh boy,
I know. Gotta love it, man. So, how about you, man? How's your relationship with the old
man? Things are good. I went through. Was married for a long time in addiction. And not to talk about the other side there, and I'm not going to get into that, but just on my side, it wasn't healthy, and got a few years into recovery, and went through a divorce, in sobriety, and wasn't a lot of fun. That was probably the most challenging year in recovery. But it needed to happen, and it did, and it's put some freedom and better relationships out there. I was at the ex's family over in Jackson yesterday for my grandson. He's 1 year old.
Oh, is he already a year?
He's a year, man. And
that birthday party was yesterday.
Yeah, I drove over there yesterday, and man, like I was cold yesterday. It was windy, and a lot going on over there for a 1 year old. A lot of kids, a lot of ladies, adults, all that stuff, and he decided he wanted to go outside, and he can't talk, but he's pointing to the door, and everybody's like, "It's cold." And I went, "It ain't that cold."
He can't talk?
No. I mean, he's kind of like,
he should be rapping by now.
I mean,
can he at least write?
He can drive. I saw that.
Have you ever seen a child?
Mike does.
Just in passing. My ex-wife raised both of mine by herself. Thank you.
Yeah, so we got to walk outside yesterday, walk down the driveway, leaves blowing across the driveway. He liked that, and just spent about 10 minutes with him, just talking. I'm talking, he's listening and pointing, and man, it was cool. And I thought about that, and I was like, life is pretty good, and it seems like my ex is happy with what's going on in her life, and my kids are all doing great, and the world doesn't revolve around me today, and I'm pretty glad about that. And had a good time and drove back, and it just seems like everybody's better, and maybe with the divorce, maybe me being out of the picture helps a little, and that's okay if it does. They deserve that, and I'm glad to see them all having a good time, and my brother-in-law, by the way, Curtis, I'm gonna shout him out because me and him were cutting up yesterday, but yeah, I mean, man, life's good.
Now, is this your sister's husband?
Ex-brother-in-law.
Oh,
yeah. My ex-wife's brother. So,
okay.
Yeah, we we all
again, the family afterward doesn't have to necessarily mean you're blood related or it's just your family. Man.
Yeah, and too, and just to take that a little further, like you just said, I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, grew up, my background was in church, in a Southern Baptist church, and there was this set of things to do, and I'm not knocking any of that stuff, but for whatever reason, I couldn't get right with that. I just couldn't. And there was things in my head that I was like, if they knew what I was thinking, they're talking about in church, they wouldn't let me in there, and then I came in AA.
You feel worthy.
Yeah. And then I come in Alcoholics Anonymous, and some guy's been sober 20 years, and he's got his act together, and he starts talking about stuff that I think in my head, and I'm like,
that's why it hurts when you see people go back out too.
Sure.
We can try to remain emotionally unattached as much as we possibly can, but it just truly, if they have a couple weeks and they go back out and they come back in, that's different. But when you see someone with many years of recovery, the worst thing is when they die. They go back out and think they can handle as much as they did when they were out there the first time, and their bodies just can't physically handle that much, and they pass. But when you see someone go out on a bender that that after 5-6 years or something, it's just heartbreaking.
Well, but to go in there, and I heard real honesty for once, like just almost too honest sometimes. And
we get that way, yeah.
But it got my attention. And I went, this, I don't know what's going on in here, but I want to hear this. So, every day I went in there and sat and did my 90 and 90, and I just listened, and I was like, oh, that's an old lady, but she's just like me. And there's this young person that, and it wasn't the person delivering the message, it was what they had inside, and they were just like me. And that became my family as well. And I was looking for something yesterday. I was driving back. I was looking for a phone number, and I started looking through my contacts, and it is just littered. Everybody's in recovery. If they're not a family member, basically, or a handful of other people, it's all AA people. And I'm like,
if we have to call each person on our phone in AA before we take a drink, it's going to take some time.
Yeah,
that's a good insurance policy.
And then it would take weeks.
I had a guy text me at
I'd get sleepy after a while.
You'd be done after 5.
A guy texted me the other night, was doing a meeting at the club late, and there was a new lady that came in, and he didn't have any phone numbers. And he said, can you send me some ladies?
Hang on.
Yeah.
A nude lady?
A nude.
Oh.
I thought she was naked too.
Well,
My bad.
Matt
My
just
bad.
breezed right through that one. Must be a common occurrence in Matt's life.
I missed that meeting, but
Okay, she was
newcomer comes
Okay.
in with her clothes on. I'm assuming I didn't hear any different.
Okay, I got you.
This guy would have told me
She could have
too.
found some numbers.
But he, but
She didn't
that's
have her
one way to get
pocketbook.
'em. But he said, hey, can you send me some ladies' number she can call? And I started sending bing, 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 and he goes, okay, stop. And he goes, I've got enough. And I was like, man, I didn't even warm them up, and I was messing with
just
him.
to the
I was like,
C's.
yeah. I was like, we didn't even get started. So that's pretty cool, and I get phone calls and texts from people sometimes in this program I haven't talked to in a while, and they, hey man, everything okay? You checking on you, and it's an extended family, and I spend a lot of time with them, and I'm glad to be around them, but the family's good and life is good today. I sure don't have the problems I had 5.5 years ago.
You're a miracle,
Man. I tell you what, and it's it also you see that family grow, and just like family, people pass on and babies are born in real life, and you have new additions, and AA's like that too. Older folks ease on out, and we have new coming in, and your family's always changing, and but it's great, man. Life's good today.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Relationships with people that we would have never mixed with.
100%.
Man, isn't that just? I mean, and it says it in the book. These are normally people that would not mix, or people that normally would not mix. Definitely nothing about normal people in there. But these are people that and not to put myself up or down, or put them up or down on the scale of society. But these are just people in here that I would have never probably had contact
Or had the opportunity to meet.
Yeah, just there's and now they're as close as family. I've had them when I'm driving over here from Dallas or driving back at night. I've had people call me, and I'll be on the phone with them for 2.5 hours. Talk, and I don't do that, by the way. Just FYI, I don't. Talk.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
Text me. Do not.
He's
call
lying.
me.
He loves to talk. Y'all call him.
No, worse is when they FaceTime me. No. Speaking of the family after, I got a grandson that loves to FaceTime.
Yep,
My kids.
That's
you
what
don't
we
like
do, man.
the FaceTime with the grandson?
No, I like it on occasion, but
I FaceTime mine probably 5 nights a week, and he just babbles in the phone.
They happen at the worst time for me, like
Same,
on the bathroom.
There you go.
Shower.
There you go. Can't you see I'm sitting here, trying to post memes.
Just let it go, Mike. Just answer it. That's what I do. Just
I was
answer
thinking
it.
when you were just talking in 2001, I went to my first AA meeting, and I was just a year into gambling and light drinking, but I knew I was messed up. And the signs were all over the board. When I walked in there, I only saw the differences. And if you would have asked me what what drunk looks like, or an alcoholic, I would have described a homeless male, right, with a big beard that stinks. And that was what that AA group looked like that night, or at least in my perspective. I think part of it was my perspective was off. I wasn't honest, open-minded, and willing. But what turned the corner for me was in 2018. I went to a men's meeting in Shreveport, and it was a closed meeting at Orthodox church, 50 men, and I had a business background, and so a lot of the times I couldn't relate to the people that lost everything and were homeless. But then when I saw judges and lawyers and priests and business people,
that's a big meeting. A lot of men love that meeting.
Then I'm like, oh wait. You can live and have a very fulfilling life and not drink and not be an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's funny too to watch people come in there, and this year coming up, man, went through the divorce, and we kind of got that taken care of, and I think everybody's good, and we're moving on. But this year I've got so much stuff new that's starting, but you see people come in there and you go, well, what's success? Like a guy comes in from jail and he's got nothing, and then a year or two later, and he's got a little house, and he's got an old car, and he's done. Dude, that's success, man. Like it's always, it's not the, there's not a dollar figure to put on it, or and I love seeing that. I mean, I love seeing that smile and the guy go, "Hey, dude, I got this old car, man." Like, and it might as well be a Porsche, or a Corvette, and I don't know. It's a nice thing to see hanging around. So,
well, success is first and foremost. I haven't drank today.
Yeah.
Sure.
It starts there. It starts somewhere, but people's lives ultimately do get better when they come into the program. I remember when I first got there, I had such a poor relationship with my children. But I remember people would tell me, Randy actually was the one that told me, the one that I remember. I had several people tell me, but children will forgive. They will forgive. And I didn't do anything horrible to my children, and I don't even think I spanked them or anything, but just the not being there, promises that never got fulfilled, stuff like that. Never, then the relationship I had with their mom was also a negative on them. So, but I remember people saying, kids will forgive. And I remember after the first year, me and my son's relationship just wasn't where it was, where I wanted it to be. And people just kept saying, just give it time, and who would have thought now we've done moved several times together, all over the state of Louisiana, now we're in Dallas or Fort Worth area. And, me and him and his son have a great relationship, and found out now they're having another baby. I'm having another grandchild gonna be on the way.
Joys of sobriety.
So new, new,
awesome. Yeah.
Just more. Who knows? I'm the life. If I look at Mike myself right now, and it's me, and then I have my daughter and her husband and their baby, and I have my son and his wife and my step grandchildren and their baby, and that's just today though. 10 years from now, if anything has spoken, 12 years ago, I didn't have any of these people in my life but my son and my daughter. 12 years later, I have this extended group of people. What's life look like in 10 years? We just don't know.
You're right.
However, what's life look like in 10 years if I take that first drink?
Bye.
I can determine that.
Yeah.
It's jail or dead.
It's pretty bad. The family after I screwed up a family of 4 really well. I could totally annihilate a family of whatever it is I'm going to end up just by taking one drink.
Yep.
Isn't that amazing?
Someone said in a meeting once, I don't know if it was you, it was, I can make my gratitude list real short, real fast. Right?
Yeah.
It's true.
That sounds like something Travis M. would say.
Yeah, I know him. He's a good guy. But yeah, I can make it bologna sandwich, right? Fluorescent lights, and then I have shelter.
Pretty orange clothes.
And some nice looking guys hanging out with me.
Yeah. Yeah, right there within reaching distance.
Ouch.
No, for real. I mean,
yes.
It's amazing
Very.
what the family afterwards just changes, whether it's our physical family or it's our, I tell you what, here's the deal. I think about, and I do shout outs every once in a while on these things and all that. But I walk past years ago. I was at work and I was walking past one of the people I work with, and they asked how I was doing, and I said, this is basically how I'm doing. This is what's going on in my life. And years later, I would be closer to that person than I was with any other person in that store on that day. Just because of a conversation that struck up. Now, her husband is also in recovery. Her, at the time it was her, I think just boyfriend, or heck, may just been buddy. I don't even know, right? But now she's married. Her husband's in recovery. But because of that conversation, well, my family grew just a little bit, Now, had I went back out and drank, I probably would avoid this person at all costs.
We isolate.
Don't want nothing. I don't want anybody knowing that I'm drinking, even though everybody and their brother's going to know that I'm drinking the minute I'm drinking, if I make it out at all.
I'll take the family deal a little further too. So, been studying how I deal with people, how I just what we all deal with, am I doing certain things, blah, 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 blah. So the other night, I've been to one before, but I went by myself to an Al-Anon meeting. Okay.
By yourself?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And you know what was awesome? Do you know what was awesome? Was so awesome.
You were by yourself.
I'm the new guy. I'm like,
it was all about you.
Yeah. No, it was actually not. They never called on me. They're like, we don't want to hear anything you have to say. They don't know who I am. And I just sat there with my head down like I did when I came in AA. And they just, they went, we're on you. And so they just went around sharing their stuff. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, I loved it. You know, I absolutely loved it. But even as sobriety has grown, I do try to push and grow, you know, and like, how can I do that? And I heard some really good stuff in there. And, you know, I don't know if this makes any sense at all, but they were talking about dealing with the alcoholic in their life and then the way they deal with it. And I just compared it to dealing with the alcoholic in my own life, you know, and I use that on myself. And, man, I left there and I felt so good. And I was like, man, I just, you know, but it was so much fun to like sit in a meeting and just be the, you know, go get a chip, a one day chip or whatever. Yeah. So that was fun.
And you don't know where that family's going to go.
No.
You don't know what kind of goodness will come out of that at the new Al-Anon relationship, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and there are some of us in there, by the way. There was a few I knew, and you know, didn't talk to them, but I'm just so grateful for Alcoholics Anonymous and Al-Anon and those things too. But you know, it's just taught me that, hey, this is going on with you. Let's figure that out. Let's try to get involved and take action on it and not sit there and just stew in it and be miserable. And man, I did. I had the best week after I went to that meeting, and just gave me a lot to think about, you know. So
cool. Well, the chapter for me, I'm going to be honest. I did not like it for a really long time. I thought that chapter was stupid, and I also thought two wives or to whatever.
Two wives, correct.
Was stupid as well.
About employers. How about two employers?
Yeah, that was probably stupid as well. I know, I'm horrible.
Really
I feel bad. Well,
so everything after page 103 is stupid.
I read it, and to be honest with you, I don't remember a whole lot of it because
Little Women.
Because I didn't like it. You know, I was a grown woman that didn't have a family of my own, and that was a big, huge issue with me and my self-pity and my alcoholism and my drug addiction, because I never felt like I had a family, even though I have a family. So I just actually didn't pay attention to it. But when it comes to, you know, my immediate family, my mother, my father, my sister, things have changed tremendously. And it's pretty awesome. I wasn't there. I wasn't there emotionally. I wasn't there physically. Everything was always on my terms. I was absolutely not self-supporting. And I think my father carried me into my mid-30s. And the big thing about what I do now is I'm, for the most part, self-supporting. And that is something that I'm just really excited about. I just want to prove to them, like, I can do this. You know, in recovery, I hear it so much from my mom and dad, how proud they are of me. That is never anything I heard before I got sober. And no, not once. I mean, I didn't do stuff that made people proud, for sure. And, and I like that, but I was still close with them then, and I'm still close with them now. I mean, things are different. I still think they lock up their pharmaceuticals.
Well,
and I gave them every reason to.
That's standard.
Yeah. And we all get to hang out. I mean, my whole family is within a 5-mile radius. And so we're all really close, and we meet, you know, for holidays and have dinners and whatnot. And I like that. I show up for that. You know, there was a long time I didn't answer phone calls. I didn't answer my door because I was hiding everything in my life. And, but I live out here in the country. My father's in the back of my property. And so I get to do a lot of fun stuff with him, but a lot of people probably wouldn't think would be fun.
I just have to say this really quick. The pigs are just Yes.
I love them.
For y'all, those of y'all that don't know, by the way, Jill is like machete out in the woods driving a four-wheeler type person. So,
I mean, there's 5 horse saddles next to me right here.
yes. And no horses. That's what's odd.
That's 7. Well, we always had
them too.
We always had horses growing up, and we bred and raised Appaloosas. So,
Wow.
It's a catfish, isn't it?
no, come with shit. No, it's the spotted horse has a spotted hiney.
Yeah.
But anyway, I became estranged from my sister, and that, like, I love my sister, and I've always wanted a relationship with her. I just didn't realize, like, how trashy and disgusting I had become, and like, why would she want to associate with me? Plus I was high and drunk all the time. And so it's all happened just the way it's, was supposed to. And I have a really good relationship with her now. We are still polar opposites. So, that's the thing. And I understand, like, we have nothing in common. Like, nothing. But as far as like family other than family, my AA family is everything to me. And throughout all these years, I've been able to create new families, and one in Colorado and in Monroe and in different areas throughout Louisiana because of sobriety. And I never had the friendships that I have now. I mean, I always had a lot of friends, and I was outgoing, but now I just, my friendships are different, and they're real, and they're not fake.
Yep.
And I think that's to me, it's everything. My group of friends, and I have them in different areas. We meet up, we travel, we do, and I mention that a lot because we are family when we get together. And we've all been best friends for over 10 years.
Yeah, like Sister Sledge.
Exactly.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
We are family. I've got all my sisters in.
Like, what the hell are you talking about? I should probably go back and read these chapters.
To the Sledge.
Yeah.
No, actually, there is good information in there.
Well, I agree. And now that the self-pity has been, removed, I probably can read that in a different perspective. But to me, that was just kind of a stab in the heart.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
So, I was going to ask the question, what if not to you,
but
just
fine.
in general, because there may be a listener out there that don't have a relationship with their family.
Yeah.
And maybe they're I don't know, 6 months sober, and they feel like they should have their kids back. Or they feel like their spouse or their significant other should be taking them back by now. They feel, they've heard all these people in AA and they've heard all these stories, but it just isn't happening fast enough for them, What about them? I can tell you this. There's no easy answer to that for me anyway. Is number one, if you go back out, it's going to be that much longer.
Right.
You will prolong any kind of relationship with, the people you love the most if you go back out, because, although it numbs it, you can't handle it very long. So then you get sober again and you have this more wreckage, right?
Yeah.
And I think it works in degrees. I had to take a couple years off from life, really. Take 2 years, just don't do anything but go to AA every day. And establish a relationship with God.
Yeah,
sure. Have faith that whatever. I remember I was so mad thinking, well, if my kids don't want nothing to do with me, I can go have more. Well, I'm 51 years old. Thank God I didn't go have more. I mean, what kind
You don't even know that a 1-year-old can't talk, Mike. You don't need kids.
Well, I was thinking they could read.
Mike's like, does that
Look,
kid have
I'm
a
just
job?
going by my experience. So, yeah, no, I don't know how old I was when I started reading. It was probably 4.
But that was explained to me, that exact deal, coming in here, and they went, you may not get all that back.
Yeah.
And I went, uh-oh.
God's going to put back in your life what he wants you to have in your life.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is not where we go in and pick and choose what we want life to give us.
And there's no timetable.
Well, and I tell you what,
None.
if you don't, because that was me, I thought, you get sober and I've been a good girl and, all these things. I seriously thought the family would come, and it didn't. And it still hasn't. And I'm talking about like a family of my own. And I tell you what, for a long time, it pissed me off so bad. It just, because I saw everybody else getting everything that they wanted. And I was like, oh my gosh. And there were so many lessons I had to learn through all of this, and really important ones. And I also had to learn to be okay by myself. Even though I've been by myself my whole life, but I think that's what alcohol and drugs did for me. It was my companion.
Yeah,
and
That might be
absolutely.
one of the hardest things. It's just being able to be still in a quiet room or outside by yourself.
That's tough, man.
I think that's a real milestone of sobriety.
Yeah.
Terry, that is a tough one. You're
Well,
absolutely right.
And what I learned, one of them was, I was so consumed with loneliness and self-pity. It was just disgusting, but I've gone from loneliness to solitude, and I enjoy being with me and being alone, and those, I think is great.
And I think we get frustrated because we want things to happen on our timetable, and even now we can push that and go, well, I should. When I start that crap in my head, it's like,
damn
no,
it,
dude, you should be in jail. So,
I stopped destroying my life 6 months ago.
yeah.
You got to, and then we hear the promises. We've talked about this. We had a whole episode on the promises.
Yeah.
But we talked about, we shall not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. Well, I don't want nothing more than to shut the door on that shit when I get
That's
here.
right.
I don't, man, I regret the past. I still, by the way, regret the past. Some of it, not all of it, but wishing to shut the door on it. When I first got here, man, that's all I wanted to do. If I'm going to, new year, new you, starting over, here we go, again. No,
I couldn't talk about the past, though, before I was sober, because it would just cause shame, which would just tear me down. My self-pity would take over, and it would cause me to drink and use because I didn't like the feeling. It's cool that we can talk about the past now and use that for good.
I love to think about it and talk about it because I would never want to forget where I came
it's
from.
in the past, thank God.
Well, I don't want to forget where I came from. I don't want to forget all the ugly, because when I start to do that,
But you
that
use
drink,
it to help other people.
I do.
And that's the beautiful thing of this.
Yeah.
When I came in and I heard people saying all this wild stuff and horrible stuff, and it wasn't emotional. They weren't up there crying and, oh, I've had such a bad life. They were matter of fact. They had dealt with it, and you could tell, okay, I've been through this process. I've come out the other side, and it's just clinical now. Yeah, blah, 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 whatever they did. And that was so cool to hear that.
It's
and
a
I was just
relatable
like,
experience.
yeah, I could relate to them, but I was like, how did they get to the point where it didn't drive them insane? They're just sharing with a bunch of people that they don't even know, and it doesn't bother them. And I'm like, this I have to figure out.
I remember the first week of my sobriety, something silly happened. Who knows what it was? Something happened with the kids, and a life event that normal people can handle. So I'm just freaking out, and I'm running late to work, and I'm anxious and jittery, and I call my sponsor, and I tell him all this stuff, and he said something to me I'll never forget. He said, you know what you sound like? I'm like, what? What do I sound like? He said, you sound like a human being. And that really leveled it for me, that other people have life too, right? It's not all about me. I just look at it differently.
And we think that people don't have all these same. My brother told me that early on. I was like, oh, today was such a tough day. And I'm 90 days in. He's like, dude, do you not think regular people don't like get pissed off or whatever? And I'm like,
But I'm special.
I'm special,
I'm
though.
coming
I
off
have
an
a ni-
addiction.
Let me show you my 90-day chip right now, okay? Just in case. I'll pull my badge out on the table, buddy. You don't understand. And I went, oh, yeah, that's called human being.
But the same, all bad days, good days, no different with the relationship with the family. Do you think normal folks don't have problems inside their family?
You know where
it kind of sucks that they don't have an excuse like we do.
And I'm getting better at this. I'm not perfect at it, but this is just something this past year I've learned to treat bad days and great days the same. Just they're the same. It's a day. At the end of the day, it's a day. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have another bad one. If I have an outstanding day, the next day could be horrible. We just deal with that one when it's there, and try not to go with that ebb and flow that I used to, and it's like a high or an extreme low. And I don't do that as well, but I have really worked on it this past year. It's gotten a lot better. And, it just, I don't know, man, I'm so grateful for this program and just learning to look at things in different ways,
Yeah. I mean, what you were just talking about reminded me of the 12 and 12, page 47. It's talking about step 4. And it says, we thought conditions drove us to drink. And we tried to correct these conditions and found that we couldn't to our entire satisfaction. Our drinking went out of hand and we became alcoholics. It never occurred to us that we needed to change ourselves to meet conditions, whatever they were. Mm-hmm. I always want the condition, the situation, which it's normally people, because people are behind everything, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm mad at Walmart, it's a people problem. If I'm mad at a hotel, it's a people problem, right? I'm mad at airline traffic today in Bossier City. I'm mad at Houston traffic. It's a people problem.
Right.
Right? But I can't change those people. So I can either moan about it or I can move forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, think about it like this. If we just had a meeting right now and we had 50-50, let's say 50% newcomers and 50% folks with some recovery, right? You guys and above. And we said, today we're just going to bitch about everything that's going on in our lives. We're not going to talk about the solution. We're just going to talk about the problem, right? Well, you're probably, and I've been in meetings, not obviously not with those rules, but I've been in bitch meetings. And people start out, number one, their family.
You mean business meetings?
Yeah, there you go. They're family. They start out, it's family, relationships, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, and then it's work. Okay. And then it's traffic or the DMV or the Social Security office or whatever it is, right? And it took a long time, not a long time, 2 or 3 years with me in recovery for me to realize, spiritual awakening here. I'm the one that's a common denominator between these 3 places, right? And I'm not going to change these 3 places, but I can change me. Courage to change the things I can. There's only one thing I can change, me, my attitudes on life, my outlook on life. Well, if I make an adjustment, it's amazing because the people in my family aren't as bad because they're not retaliating, seemingly unprovoked, or the DMV, they just doing their job, Traffic, there's another story. I still got issues with people who drive slow in the left lane, right? Besides that, I really don't care about the right lane.
Do you have that problem in Dallas? I thought everyone drove 100 miles an hour.
Everyone drives slow in Dallas because you can't drive any faster, right? It's just, you have a 6-lane road. It's backed up for no reason whatsoever. But I can't change all of those things, but I can change the common denominator, which is me. And when I do that, it does take time, but the family starts to get that trust back, and I start to build relationships. And then, drinking doesn't come up in any of my conversations with anyone anymore. I don't have to sit down and talk to my daughter and say, hey, here's why. Because one, I'm not the most important thing in these people's life, right? And then number 2, they have stuff going on, and I have worked a recovery program that allows me to do the things to have better relationships with those folks. And I don't really have a bad relationship with anyone that I can think of. There may be someone, but not anyone that I can think of.
I think through the first 6 months, year of sobriety, and when I work with other people in recovery, there's a common theme that a lot of us seem to have, and that I had it, so I can relate, which is I want to talk and explain what I'm going through every day in recovery and how much better I've gotten, right? So I can prove that to you, and I want to use words. And the biggest thing I was taught was action, not words.
Yes.
Action, not words.
Word help me.
honestly, just getting in the house early in recovery, working my job 8 to 5, sitting in the kitchen saying, how can I help? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Those are the words that saved me.
Yeah, it's like the whole change of behaviors, everything. You know, what I do, what I don't do, what I say, what I don't say. They know they're not going to get a huge, even though I did lose my shit about 4 or 5 years ago at Thanksgiving on my sister. But I'm not explosive like I used to be, and I'm not...
We're making fun of Jill. Y'all can't see it, but we're laughing at
Jill hasn't had her nap today. So.
Jill has not had her nap. She's thinking about exploding on people. So
No, I mean, I just really don't do that anymore because, like, I think that thing that you're talking about, like, everybody used to irritate me.
Oh, the assholes come out completely.
Yeah, and it had really nothing to do with anybody. It was me. And once I fixed all of that and worked on it, I'm not saying I cured it. I still can get, irritable, but I'm just like, I don't try to respond to that.
And we learn some ways when we get irritable to evaluate that. That's what I like.
Absolutely.
To go, where am I at right now? Like, why am I? And I can run through it pretty quick and go, okay.
Yeah. Fifth step, just be like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Why I'm acting this way? What's the underlying issue? Whatever.
And then, there are like best practices. Like, just do stuff. I have an aunt, right? My mother's sister. And it's my mother's younger sister, actually. It's the youngest of that whole family. And she's 7 years older than me, okay? And she was like an older sister when I was a child, right? She was like, and then when I think I was about 11, she was 18. She got married to an Air Force guy, moves off, and really no contact for many years. If it was just in passing. Don't even know if she knows I'm an alcoholic. Right? Have no clue. But every year on her birthday, I make sure I send her a text saying happy birthday. So she knows I'm thinking about her at least once a year. You know what I mean? But in all seriousness, stuff like that, if you're not doing it, you're not helping the situation any, right? It just, hey, look, you're my aunt. I remember you when we were kids. I'll never forget you. I'll always love my family. And send off that text, and you'd be surprised. Just, if anything, it just makes people know you think about them. Now, on the flip side of that, if I'm self-conscious and I think everybody's thinking about me all the time, how many times do all these people send you a text saying, have a good day, or happy birthday, or anything? That's how often people really are thinking about you. Mm-hmm. If that's not a hard pill to swallow.
Right. So never? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Why be self-conscious, I know poor Jill, she's probably thinking, the dude texts me about pigs twice a week, and I never ask about it.
No.
But no, it's in there. How are you doing, Jill? I want to know how the pigs are. Thank you.
Yeah, how's Chunk and Bud?
Well, the with the cold weather come through, that's what really, we're getting into 25 next week over in Dallas. I don't know how it's going to
It's going to be 19 one night next week.
Yeah. It's going to be over that way too. So.
For real?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have straw and heat lamps and blankets and all kinds of fun stuff for them.
Or your bed, Jill, you could let them.
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay. Just a suggestion.
Not welcome.
Just suggestions.
You know what I love about the recovery community is it's that HOW principle. I feel like when the goal for most of us is to be honest, open, and willing. Open-minded, and I think there's not as much open-mindedness out there, and it's really encouraging. We come in here, we don't have a lot of friends sometimes. We've usually burned everything down, right? And to come in here, that's another insurance policy. Every friendship I have in recovery is an insurance policy that I could call and contact, and someone I can be honest with. It's my choice, though, if I want to be honest in that friendship, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
That's the key.
I just coming from the church background and then coming into Alcoholics Anonymous, it was just kind of like, these are my folks. Like, this is plain talking. We're not fancy. Let it all hang out. And, I think if most people came in and they didn't know what AA was and just sat down off the street, they'd go, "Oh, we need to haul some bands over here and load these people up." But
take them to Waco.
Yeah, yeah. So by the way, and hey, it does tie into something I was going to say earlier. Speaking of Waco, I don't know if y'all seen the meme on Instagram, but you were talking about the Christian in the 70s. And it said, "Could you call yourself a Christian if you don't know who this Christian rock band is?" And it's Koresh playing his. That's horrible. That's horrible.
Good one, man.
But
Good
yeah, I love that. So that's my messed up sense of humor. Anyway.
I was only allowed to listen to Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith.
Oh, my.
Dude, my
Remember those
dad.
days?
My dad
Explains a
called
lot,
me listening to the
Terry.
Beach
Yes,
Boys one time, and just about it was like, "Where did you get that?" It was like
Beach Boys.
The
Seriously?
Beach Boys,
Yeah.
dude.
That
that's-
was like Christian Beach, right?
Yeah,
I don't
that
know
was-
what you call that.
I mean, yeah.
There was nothing wrong about the Beach Boys.
Well, it was at my house.
Well,
My parents were rockers, so like I grew up listening to Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones. And
My dad, I will say this, I'll give my dad some street cred. All Christian music, that's all we listened to, except he loved Johnny Cash. And to this day, I still love Johnny Cash, but he would listen to Johnny. So,
Well, in the AA tradition 1, right? And I want to try to hit on a tradition in every podcast this season, and it doesn't have to be a whole open discussion. Obviously, we're winding this one down, but tradition 1 says our common welfare should come first. That means AA as a whole or your group. These are for the group. Personal recovery depends on AA unity. So the common welfare of the group depends on the unity of the group, right? Or my personal recovery does. So if we think about that in the light of the family afterward, right? I get to go in, I get to contribute, and maybe the only thing I take out is recovery. What a bargain. You ever thought about that? I can work 8 hours at the club on a Sunday doing something, and the only way I get paid is by being sober that Sunday. Mm-hmm. Now, that 12 years down the line might not sound like a bargain, right, Jill? 13 years down the line. When I was out there wanting to stop but couldn't stop, and someone said, "Hey, go spend 8 hours at the club doing some service work and you'll stay sober," I would have jumped on it. Right? Mm-hmm. So, I wanted to put that out there since we were talking about this. And guys, we're about out of time. We got to wind this one down.
Terry, thank you, man.
Terry, appreciate you coming by.
Thanks for joining us.
Hope you join us for another episode pretty soon. I don't think we got any new countries listening to us, but we still have the UAE, Canada, Saudi Arabia, Denmark, Australia, Bulgaria, Taiwan, UK, Ireland, and of course the United States. So that's pretty cool. 3,086 listens so far. That's how many listens we've had.
wow.
We have 91 Spotify followers. Would love to see that to 180 by the end of season 2.
Okay.
Whether that happens or not, maybe we'll help one person stay sober one day. And
Absolutely.
That's
and that's the point of all this.
And then we've had 13 listens in the last few days. Average episode gets about 43 listens. So, this particular season, we're going to be talking about some of the things post 12 steps and doing the deal every day. So we may have some questions from some listeners. And if that's the case, we do need you to reach out to us, whether it's email, text message, or phone call, Instagram, whatever it is. The number to reach the show is 817-988-2530. And that you leave a voicemail on that, and we'll play it on the air unless you tell us not to. And then we have gnbbossier@gmail.com. That's GNBBOSSIER@gmail.com. And we'll take emails. We'll also read them on the air. So a lot of good stuff coming this season. Can't wait to get a lot of content out there. Can't wait to see who stops by and visits us. Always love having guests on the show. So, but we're gonna wrap this one up. So, from everyone, Amy C had a birthday yesterday.
6 years.
6 years down in Covington. I meant to say that. I'm glad. Matt, glad. Thank you. And so, and we will announce those too, unless someone don't want us to, and then you probably shit out of luck on that one. So, anyway, from Rule 62 Studios in Bossier City, Louisiana, this has been the Grouch and the Brainstorm.
Yep, this is great.